everybody, Mike Naso here from IPR with the latest tropical video update, and you can see right there is Invest 99L getting very close to becoming the third depression of the season. Also, we have an area of disturbed weather over the Western Caribbean and Bahamas. This shouldn't develop but could have implications down the road, as my good friend Dave Toleris said so colorfully to me, mentioned so colorfully so early this morning. And indeed, DT's right, this is going to impede it with shear, but does this get out of the way in time, or does this stay more westerly? And there's so many variables here that could we be dealing with a stronger system or a weaker system. It's just unknown at this point in time. Anyway, DT will be on later tonight at 9 p.m. with his show, I'm pretty sure, here on IPR. Elsewhere, 90L is a new invest off the southeast coast. I think I'd rather see this as an invest than this, because this is not looking too good, and the NHC really doesn't think it'll develop. Also, a tropical wave out here we're going to be taking a look at. Let's start with 99L, very close to TD3, and TD3, by the way, that is a very, very bad tropical depression. We have seen Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Charlie, 1999's Hurricane Brett, all spawned by TD3. So, even Hurricane Cindy last year. So, let's hope this TD3, if it does become one, doesn't do anything bad. You see right now it's moving west-northwest, which would generally keep it north of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and into the Bahamas, but does it maintain a more westerly course? And that's kind of what DT was saying to me. I was looking at the shear tendencies, and I'm going, we'll get to the shear. We'll get to the shear in just a second. First of all, here's the latest visible satellite imagery, and you could clearly see the center was exposed, but it's now under the convection, and so this is looking like it could very well become a depression later tonight or tomorrow as it moves generally right towards the islands. So, not looking too good if you're in the islands right now. I'd definitely be bracing for some locally heavy rainfall, no doubt about that. Now here's what DT and I were kind of getting it in with. You can see right here is that system that I said don't expect to develop but could have implications. Notice the way the winds are flowing right here, matter of fact, right there, towards the system. Right now the system is under the worst of it, which is 30 to 40 knots of wind shear, and the system's still wrapping up. But what I was looking at was this 5 to 10 knots right in here that the system's heading towards. You can see that even better on the shear tendencies. See? Shear up here right over the top of the system. Right now the system's right here and it's looking better than ever. Once it moves west-northwest or westward and gets towards the Leeward Islands or the Virgin Islands, then we're talking a much more area of favorability here. A much more favorable area for development, rather. And that's gonna, if this becomes a depression while it's under this 20 to 30 knots of wind shear, and then gets into the favorable area, the only real inhibitor should be land, which could be a big inhibitor if it moves over, otherwise it won't survive. Remember Hurricane Debbie? Yeah, that was going to be a major disaster, but was averted because of wind shear and Hispaniola, thankfully. So we're going to keep an eye on it. You can see behind it, when you see these greens and blues, these are generally favorable conditions. When you see the oranges and yellows and reds, those are unfavorable. So you could clearly see here we're dealing with more unfavorable areas up here and down here and out here in the Atlantic basin for waves coming right off than we actually are for systems moving through. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the entire basin as we enter August. Here's the precipitatable water map, which shows the dry air right in here. You can see all this is dry air, and you can see the more moist air once you get into the Western Caribbean and down here. So our wave's kind of stuck, right in here, and it has the moist envelope with it. So some dry air ahead of it, but not terribly dry conditions. And you can see that even better on the water vapor imagery. Notice right here is that favorable moisture. Behind it, a lot of moisture, but notice all this dry air kind of impeding in. So it's gonna be tough for it to get through. But if it can, then we could be dealing with a system down the road for the United States. First of all, 90L. Before we get to the models, you can see right there, models all crazy with it, doing whatever, taking it back into Georgia. I don't really know if that's even gonna happen. Right now, you can see maybe some evidence of a small, weak vortex in there, but in general I don't see it developing. If I say in general again, somebody's going to hit me. Okay, here's the Canadian, 72 hours. There's our system right there, 99L, and there's another system developing, and basically by 144 hours, you start to lose the system right here as it moves through South Florida, and then our bigger systems start to come, the dominant features in the Atlantic. This would be by August 5th or so. The MM5 is a little bit more aggressive as it moves through the northern islands there in about 48 hours, and then another system behind it, and then basically by 96 moving north, and by 120 you could see there's a system in the Atlantic, a system in the Gulf, and the system 99L still over the Bahamas. So that is a little bit slower with it in 5 days rather than others taking it all the way to Florida. Here's the NOGAPS, 120 hours. The system right in here kind of loses it, and then a bigger system moving off of Africa, so the NOGAP's not too aggressive with it. And here's the UK Met at 48 hours. You can see system forming out here, and it actually has it slamming into Hispaniola and losing it after 48 hours. So the NAM, 84 hours, there it is north of Puerto Rico. It seems to me if it's here, then why would it take, 3.5, 4 days to get here? But maybe it has something to do with the shear inhibiting it, but I don't know. It seems to me like the models are a little too slow. It's moving west-northwest right here at 15 miles an hour, and you're telling me in 84 hours it's going to be right here? I don't buy it. Sorry, NAM. Also, you can see some moisture in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, here's the big dog, GFS, 84 hours. There it is, north of Haiti. You can see another system forming behind it, and then basically by 144, it is exiting just north of western Cuba into the southeast Gulf. There's our one big system, and there's our second big system, okay? 144 hours, this is our first Cape Verde hurricane the GFS has been consistently showing the last few days. I mean, I know we're not supposed to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the long range, just a little peek long range. 204, this is by the 9th of August. There is our system approaching the northern Leeward Islands. By 228, moving north of there, and by 300 hours, basically having a classic fish track out to sea, but not before slamming into Nova Scotia as a very powerful system at 324 hours. Very powerful, probably becoming extra tropical, and then another system by the 14th of August forming. So that's just a little peek into the Atlantic and long range GFS. There's our wave right now. This could, some of the models have this area kind of moving off, and then this one kind of forming as more come off. So just watch this area for Cape Verde development in the next couple of days. Elsewhere, there's our system right there approaching the islands. Looking again, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, man, this is looking pretty good. So we got to keep a close eye on it as it moves this direction. And then there are those showers and thunderstorms, very favorable conditions over the Gulf because, well, light and variable winds, low shear. That's what I'm telling you. Eastern Pacific, 7E, 35 miles an hour, forecast to become Tropical Storm Fabio and then turn west and weaken. And you can see it right there, and then there's another invest behind it. I think this is 95E, and this is probably going to become a system, although conditions aren't as favorable as they are for little soon-to-be Fabio in here. Little Fabio right there. It's going to kind of head out, and then there's our bigger system behind it. Finally, my throat's getting sore. I need my iced coffee. And dinner, by the way. 7W, this is probably going to become Tropical Storm Prapi-Rune, and it's forecast to do so and then slam into the areas down here. I believe that's Vietnam. Is that Vietnam? I'm not sure. I wasn't alive during Vietnam. I didn't see a lot of maps of it. I don't know this area of the world as much as I know, say, North America, Africa, Caribbean, Middle East, whatever. There's satellite image of it looking pretty good. Outflow looking good on especially the eastern side, a little bit restricted off to the northwest, but nevertheless looking good. Could strengthen close to typhoon status, I'd have to say. Behind it, some showers and thunderstorms. Keep an eye on those in the West Pac. My throat's going, guys. Mike Naso, IPR. Stay tuned tonight on IPR, I believe. This week in the tropics with DT. But I promise you, no Van Halen this time. I'll see you next time.